giving you the information you need. This is Inside the News. Here's Guy, Ben, and Frank.
Welcome back to our next segment of Inside the News. Frank Vernuccio, Ben Brunson. My name is Guy Wayman. And we want to thank you so much for listening. We have fun doing the program. This is program number 501. We've been doing this 501, and we're still married together. I don't know if that's a legal term or what, but we sure do enjoy coming together each and every week to discuss these issues. Germany, they had an election, Ben. Go.
Yeah, there's a saying that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I think that's going to be the net result of this German election, which on its face was a great outcome for those who believe in a Europe that fights back against the invasion of Islamic immigrants into the country and the conversion of Europe into a big caliphate, which has certainly been happening in Germany, France, and the UK over the last 20, 25 years. The big winners were the AfD party, Alternative for Deutschland, led by Alice Weidel. They went from 10% of parliament to almost 25%, way outperforming their polling, which suggested they'd win about 19% of the vote. They're going to take up over 24% of the seats in parliament, in the German parliament. The Christian Democrat Union, which is the traditional conservative party, gained seats and had the biggest share of the vote with about 32% of the vote. And that is run by a guy named Friedrich Merz, and he will almost certainly become the new chancellor of Germany. Here's the bad news. All of the parties, the mainstream parties, and that would be the Christian Democrats along with the liberal Social Democrat Party, which had been running. That's the party of Olaf Scholz, the prior chancellor. They have a deal, and the deal is to exclude AfD from any coalition. So the Christian Democrats are going to form a coalition government with the Social Democrats. Friedrich Merz will be named the new chancellor almost certainly, but they're going to ignore the Alternative for Deutschland. What do they want? If you watch CNN and all the mainstream news, they're described as a far-right party. The word fascist is thrown about when describing the AfD. All they want, like Donald Trump, is control over their borders and for Germany to remain ethnically German and not become an Islamic caliphate. And if you look at where the support has surged for the AfD, it is in those areas like Eastern Germany and the Ruhr where a lot of these immigrant waves have come and really changed the culture of Germany into an Islamic culture. So this is a fight for the survival of Germany as France is on the line in the UK itself. I applaud the AfD. I think it is a matter of time until the AfD ultimately takes power. But given the parliamentary system, they're going to have to gain probably another 10 percentage points to do that.
Okay, Frank.
Yeah, the CDU didn't even have the integrity to wait a couple of weeks until they actually announced that they were going to reject everything that got them elected in the first place. The fact of the matter is, Friedrich Merz has already softened his immigration stand, so he went back on a pledge to the voters. And it looks as though this is going to be another uniparty system in Germany, as it is in the UK and had been in the United States until Donald Trump came into the picture. The fact of the matter is that any real reform of Europe, and desperately European governments need reforming, is going to be held off until a much more substantial majority can come to the fore, can come to the polls. Friedrich Merz came in with about 28.52%. He could have had I believe, a deal with the AfD and maybe one or two other small groups to take control, but instead he chose immediately to ally with the left-wing parties in Germany, dashing the hopes of the German voters.
You know, Ben and Frank, we are witnessing the fight for a new world order. China wants to be at the top. They want to rule everything. And the United States says, well, we're the big economy we're in. Well, the European Union says, don't leave us out. And they're using a club of NATO and all this other, and the elites in Europe. And there's this new world order, and it just hasn't quite been found yet. And Ukraine is in there, Russia's in there. Everybody's fighting for a position. Ben, make some sense of it for us.
Well, look, we have this traditional globalist view, and the Uniparty. If you think of the CDU, it's kind of like the Mitt Romney version of the Republicans, essentially a big Uniparty with the Democrats. Donald Trump upset that apple cart, and the AfD is upsetting that apple cart in Germany. And to me, this is a fight for whether you're going to be relevant 100 years from now. Europe right now is in a decline. The combination of open borders and allowing half the Islamic world to immigrate into Europe unfettered, and the change in culture that will bring about, when combined with the left-wing politics of green, especially the green politics of driving energy costs through the roof. Germany has shut down its nuclear plants. At the same time, it lost its access to cheap Russian fuel, cheap Russian gas because of the Ukraine war. The cost of energy is 3 times in Germany what it is in the United States, and that's pretty much the same in France and the UK. So this is suicide in the economies of Europe. They are stagnant. The German economy is essentially in a recession and maybe headed for depression if they don't get their act in order very soon. And the U.S. is going to grow rapidly again under Donald Trump, as it was during his first term. It's going to take a little bit of time to get going. And we have the issues we talked about in the last segment. But this is whether or not we will be able to fight against China. China has its own host of issues, and socialism and a centrally planned economy, which is very much what they have to a large extent, will not work over the long term. The U.S. will win, but it has to be properly managed. Europe could be there with us, and it would help us out a lot if they were, but they have to get rid of this yoke of left ideology and green policies that are destroying Europe as we know it.
Oh, my goodness. We have just begun, and Frank wants to weigh in, but we're out of time in this segment. So we're going to have to just tell you that you can find out more if you visit us on our YouTube channel, WBV Inside the News, and check back with your local affiliates. They might even have archives of programs that they air there as well. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick time out. We're going to be back. Apple brings back thousands of jobs to the United States. Mayor Bass fires the police chief. Guess what? She was out of the country. What a hypocrite. Really? Well, we're going to talk about that as well. We'll be back.
You're listening to Wayman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.